No! Hello and welcome to this Warno 1v1 game. Today we've got Gucci Gang Hots playing 5 Easy Peasy, going up against rival Horse Division, played by YukiPaw. We'll go through the deck reviews, then we'll talk about the map and the matchup, and then we'll talk about the game. We'll cover the game, and as always, oh, did I miss out the deployments? I'm getting this all wrong. Check the timestamps. Right, so this is the deck review for Gucci Gang Hots. He's playing 5 Easy, and we'll go through it tab by tab. 5E, very OP div, total pain to play against. Anyway, 2 cards of supply. You're going to struggle with 2 cards of supply in longer games, particularly if you've got 2 up-vetted AMX South 1s and a bunch of bunch of medium tanks to repair. You are going to struggle with 2 cards of supply. You can make it work so for starters, whenever you buy a supply, at the bottom, and you can't do this before the game starts, you can't do this while you're deploying at the start, which is really annoying. Sorry, the sun has just come out. It's absolutely blinding me. I don't like the sun staying inside and, complaining about Warno. So in the bottom middle, there's 3 options. Turn off the fuel. If you're running 2 cards of supply, you should really always be turning off the fuel, because generally vehicles tend to die before running out of fuel, and so you're just wasting your supply doing that. So yeah, if you're running 2 cards, you need to do things like that to make it go further. Infantry, so really not that much infantry here at all. So 2 vet chasseurs, 1 vet group anti-chow with the double Appelas, commandos in the Super Puma, and Vab Milan too. Sorry, I mean, I've sort of skipped a little bit here. So in terms of the CVs, right, this is a 3 availability CV. This is a never bring the CV helicopter. It's just bad. It gets spotted and taken out really, really, really easily. This one, it's 2 per card, right, instead of 3, which ain't great. And it's not got smoke. It's got more HP and armor. It's actually slower. So you can buy it on the basis of its survivability against artillery, but if you've got CV tanks, then you don't need this, right? So this is your wheeled CV, so you might as well bring that one. And for the supply, 1 supply helo and 1 supply truck is fair enough if you're only running 2 cards supply. I actually missed this one. Wow, I'm all over the place today. This one's kind of just bad. I mean, it's cheaper, but it's tracked. And if you've got no wheeled CVs in here, you want a wheeled CV, so you're not too far behind on points at the start. Particularly because 5E is quite a sort of an aggressive mobile div. It's nice to have a wheeled CV. So yeah, this being tracked is not particularly useful. But yeah, it's got 10 HP, it's got top armor, it's got smoke, so it can be quite survivable. It's just, yeah, this is cheaper and faster. And then for your supply options, you've not really got much choice. You've got the helo and then the trucks for a maximum of 3, which is all you need, really. And yeah, the truck is a very, very nice truck. For 30 points, you get 750 supply. It's an ideal kind of truck in terms of its cheapness, its availability, its supply. And the Puma Kangaroo, nice fast helo one. You can just bring 2 trucks. Supply helos are generally more useful for team games. In 1v1, they can be a bit of a detriment. But basically, you would park it behind the lines and ferry these to and from the supply helo, rather than buy them in. So the map we're on today is 2 ways. And on 2 ways, yeah, helo supply can be useful because it's quite a big map, quite a deep map. The further away the action is from your spawn, the more useful the helo supply is, basically. But yeah, it's not a big deal. Inf tabs, so chasseurs are very powerful because they've got a DMR. A DMR is like 2 machine guns. A machine gun's like 2 rifles. So this is like 3 machine guns, which is 6 rifles, which means they fight with the strength of 12 men. For 50 points, and the rocket launcher is really not too shabby. The accuracy is very high. You need 17 heat AP to one-shot a 3 armor vehicle, and you need 16 to one-shot a 2 armor vehicle. So this won't one-shot a SPW-70 from the front, for example. or a striker. There's quite a few things that are 2 armor. But it's mainly the accuracy and just the mega suppression. With it being 89 millimeters, it's got 343 suppression, which is huge. And so usually you just stun the enemy or rout him, and then your follow up shots will kill him. Only having 4 cards of infantry is really not ideal at all. And in that case, I would not be 2-vetting them because you just don't have enough. You just don't have enough infantry. So definitely be bringing those at 1 vet. Group anti-char. Oh, yeah, and we might as well talk about the IFV. The IFV is like the cheapest auto cannon IFV in the game because it's a 20mm auto cannon, which are better than they used to be, but they're still not as good as 30mm in this game, and it's got no ATGM, so it's only 35 points. I believe a warrior is like 45. We can find out. Yeah, it's 45. So you're getting a lot of value for your 10 points, right? You're saving 10 points there, and you've got the same front armor. You've got less side armor. And the guns have the same AP. They didn't used to. The 20mm used to be worse. I just can't remember how far away long ago it was. But the DPS is lower on the 20mm because it's got less range, it's got less accuracy, which means that at the same range, it's got at the same range the warrior will have even more accuracy. And it's got the MMG on the warrior. Warrior's faster road speed as well. Not much, but a little bit. But yeah, the AMX 10P is not to be sniffed at. It's just it really is an infantry fighting vehicle, whereas all other IFVs are just sort of omni tools that you just shoot Milan to everybody and you kill helicopters and what have you. Whereas the the French one is whoops, that's not my that's not his, that's mine. But yeah, I wouldn't be 2-vetting these if you've got so little infantry, and I really don't think it's wise to have so little infantry. So yeah, group anti-char at 1 vet, okay. Yeah, you never really want your infantry at below 1 vet. And these guys, you lose so much to... Yeah, I prefer these at 2 vet. So yeah, Vab Milan can be good for ATGM spam. It's got bad stealth, so it tends to do a lot of dying. Whereas, so this Milan too has good stealth. But yeah, you can do a lot of... You can just spam them and put them with your tanks and stuff. It can work. I struggle to keep them alive, but it can work. And then, yeah, Super Puma Commandos are just a great tool to have. The fact that you've got Helo-born infantry in this division. This division basically does everything. It's got everything except the Leclerc. So, yeah, we can't call them biased because they've not put the Leclerc in. And then, yeah, Milan 2 infantry. But yeah, there's just not enough infantry here to be 2-vetting things. And, one wonders where all the points have gone. I mean, it's here, basically, isn't it? So, yeah. What is that? That's a 2-pointer. Okay. Yeah, so artillery, 2 up-vetted Alf 1s is pretty typical. But, let's say hypothetically you needed some more infantry. Well, you could get rid of one of these and down-vet this. This is a mortar for smoke. Basically, if you're going to be bringing this one, you want to bring it in the VAB because it's faster, but crucially, it's got more HP. Actually, HP is the same, interesting. It's armored. It's got 1 top armor. Less than 1 means that you actually take a multiple of damage. I think it's like ×2 damage or ×1.5 or something. Whereas this is much more likely to survive counter battery. That's why you get it. So you load up the mortar, you survive the counter battery. But honestly, you want to be bringing the self-propelled mortar. Because if you want to hurt people, that's what the Alpha 1 is for. If you want to smoke, that's what the mortars are for. And the big advantage from self-propelled mortars is that if you just, shift Q, a move, a shoot, a move, a shoot, a move, a shoot, a move, a shoot, it can basically never be counter-batteried. Unless the enemy artillery is really clued in, right on the front line, maximum vet, what have you. And so you really want to be bringing the self-propelled mortar in this case so that you can smoke. So tank tabs. So we got lots of so 3, 7 CVs. 3 cards of CVs is good, especially on a map like 2 Ways. You'll be happy you have it. And then yeah, like, so I think the EBG is hot garbage, okay? I think it's really bad. It's got half the range of the AMX 10P, which we can't view because it's just showing me the chasseurs. But okay, there we go. It's got half the range of the AMX 10P, so I just think it's so bad. I just think it's awful. Maybe you're getting good utility out of it. I just really don't like it. So yeah, get rid of that. Now you've got 47, and now you can bring some more infantry. So what's some good infantry? Having a card of satchels is very, very useful if you want to take a town somewhere, so that can work. Sappers, Flam, I really don't like, but if you keep them always with another infantry, because it's just as soon as the cohesion goes down, they're just not useful, because they just miss all the time, and they cost more, right? And they've got SMGs, which, well, okay, that's probably a good thing actually, because you're always gonna want to be in flamethrower range, but I really don't like them. So yeah, there you go, satchels, and then you can bring them in this if you're a fool, or this if you want an AMX 10P without smoke for the same price. So yeah, just bring it in the truck. The alternative would be bringing these guys, because these guys are like the chasseurs, but even better at killing infantry, because this is 2, plus 1 is 3, times 2 is 6, plus 8 is 14, quick maths. So they fight with the strength of 14 men. They're a pretty beefy squad, 10 strength, so that they can be worth bringing. But yeah, I think you need the sappers, because what happens if you get to a town? What are you going to do with your so little infantry, right? Sappers can be very useful here. And what did you lose? You lost some EBGs, which suck, and one vet on your Alpha ones, which you can just put a CV next to anyway and up them, which you should be doing anyway. So yeah, CV tanks mainly because of the slot costs here, presumably, which is why he's not bringing Inf CVs, which is fair enough, really. And then that brings us up to 7 CVs. Then the Brennus at 1 vet. Yeah, this is your best tank. It's a very nice tank for 145 points. It's super duper fast. All the French tanks are super duper fast. Autocannon to kill infantry. And yeah, you know, 11 HP with the ERA. It's got this thing which basically gives enemy ATGMs 10% ECM. Well, 10% ECM against enemy ATGMs. It's not something you really notice. Because when the ATGM's coming towards you, you can't survive a TOW 2 hit. So you need to be smoking that anyway. And then, yeah, so can these even survive Milan 2 hits? So I don't think they can. Because 19 pen 19 pen heat, not 19 pen kinetic, 19 pen heat. They're on different scaling tables. 19 one-shots a 5 armor vehicle, 20 one-shots a 6 armor vehicle, 21 one-shots 7, 22 one-shots 8, 23 one-shots 9, and 24 one-shots 10. So this would survive on Milan 2 because the ERA means that it actually has 11 HP instead of 10, so it would survive on 1 HP. This would die in one hit to a Milan 2. So that's the issue with these tanks. Generally, right, so you need like more stuff, right? So I think I'd be having these at 1 vet, frankly. Call it personal preference. And then you could sort of do without this one, and then you save another 2 points, which somehow we need more infantry. But or you know, or you could just do what you're doing, right? There's no shame in it, because now that at least we've got one more card of infantry here, I'm less worried now. So yeah, the advantage. So this is like just a very cost-efficient tank. It's just the armor isn't great. The thing is, though, in the meta, the way it tends to work is you get hit once, you smoke and you leave because you know you've your cohesion goes down anyway, so you can't really fight. And so in that case, these are fine. You just blob them up and roll them around. And so for that reason, I don't actually like having them at 2 vet. Because the point is that the main advantage of having higher veterancy is that you can survive more hits without having your cohesion go to 0 and routing or just missing everything. So but this doesn't have the armor to really stay in the fight that long, so I don't really think it should be at 2 vet unless you're planning to play like a really short game. So I'd be bringing these at 1 vet. And then, honestly, you can afford to get rid of this. Basically, what it is an anti-infantry tank. So it's like these, except 50 points cheaper, quick maths, and it's got a much worse gun. So it's got 2 ticks less range and 2 less pen, which means at the same range it actually has 4 less pen, and it's a heat gun, which means that as you get closer, the penetration doesn't increase; it stays the same, which is a pretty big disadvantage. The main reason you get it is because it's pretty good against infantry, because it shoots fast. The anti-infantry on the gun is the same, and the anti-infantry on the autocannon is the same. It's obviously it's a higher vet, and so it's very, very effective against infantry. The thing is, you can kind of get away with not bringing it if you bring these with the AMX-10Ps and these anyway. So you can get away with not bringing this and just bringing 3 cards of these. But what I'd be bringing instead of this is the AMX-10 Hot, because you're really going to struggle at ranges past tank gun range. And like the P4 Milan is really, really good. It's really quite useful. You just send it round the sides, you put it on low intensity flanks, it's got good stealth, it kills guys coming the other way. This can one-shot that, right, as we spoke about. So this is very useful. You don't want to get rid of this. The thing is, you will struggle against like heavy tanks in the open, because this doesn't have that much more range than a max range tank gun. So if you're against a good player on heavy tanks, he will just see the ACGM shoot, he'll know what it is, or at least, he'll assume it's a Milan 2, and then he'll just run up to you and shoot you anyway. At which point, because you're a car, you'll die in 1 hit. So this has the advantage of usually, because it's got 3 front armor, surviving a shot from an enemy tank at max range, unless it's literally a 21 AP tank, so a Leopard 2 A4C. I think that's probably the only one. Maybe the M1A1 Abrams, I can't remember. And probably some Soviet nonsense. But yeah, usually it'll survive a hit. And then, you've got the mega range, the mega accuracy, you've got smoke, so then you just smoke and reverse away. You've only got mediocre stealth instead of good. So yeah, I'd be getting rid of this and putting this in. I think it's really useful. The difference between these two is the other one, the Mephisto, is faster. And so you pay 5 points more to be significantly faster, but the stealth is still mediocre, and you lose the armor and you lose the smoke. So you're faster at getting into a position and then getting shot and dying in 1 hit. So I don't like the Mephisto. I know Integer used to run it, and he got to rank 1 with 5e. It was a long time ago, but he did it. And so, maybe it can work, but I don't like it. And yeah, your ATGM should be at no vet in all cases, because they don't have the HP to survive these fights, right? So if you're getting shot, you should be leaving. Recon tab, so AMX-10RC, AMX-10RC Sublinde. Yeah, the Sublinde, you buy it at the start. It's got 4 armor, which means it can survive a lot. The gun on it is very, very impressive. It's got mediocre stealth, it's got very good optics, it's got smoke, it's got the Dazzler thing. Very, very, very annoying unit to fight, because you don't see it and then it kills you, because the gun on it is incredible for the fact that it's got stealth. And then this is its little brother, which isn't as good. This will die in 1 hit to a 17 heat round. So a Milan 1, I think. Yeah. Whereas this will survive, right? And yeah, but it's, I can't remember if I even bring these anymore. I'll show you my deck after we finish this review. So yeah, these are very difficult to fight. And then VBL Milans, yeah, so this is kind of like the P4 Milan. I would argue that you don't actually need both. If you've also got the AMX-10 Hot, you definitely don't need all 3. So I'd be getting rid of this, and there you go, 3 AP. Wow, now I can bring some infantry. So now you can bring Grenadier Voltigeurs FR1. Right, if you've got the group anti-char for your Appelas needs, then you probably don't need Grenadier Voltigeur Appelas, and you'd probably rather get the SVD. Yeah, bring that in the VAB. There you go, problem solved. Or you could bring, Escorte PC in the AMX-10P or something. Or just more chasseurs in the AMX-10P and have them at 2 vet. But it is nice to have a wheeled line infantry. I suppose this is wheeled line infantry, so you can get away with not bringing this, but yeah, 1 more infantry over a 3rd ATGM, although, this didn't used to be in the deck until I put it there, so it's something to keep in mind. And then Dragon Paras. So the VLRA goes at 90, but the VLRA with gun goes at 100 because France isn't allowed to have bad equipment. So yeah, you want this one because this is your airborne forward deployment unit for the start of the game. Doesn't have AT, something to keep in mind. And yeah, you want this going. You want this getting there as fast as possible, so that the enemy doesn't take that position first and kill you while you're still in your transport. So you definitely want it in the VLRA 50, which I think it already was. And basically, special forces go faster the higher the veterancy, but this isn't a special force vehicle, so it doesn't benefit from this being special forces. So there's no point max vetting this basically. And then eclairs in the helicopter. Now, I am kind of against this. I do like the eclairs. It's just you've got helo infantry here. So do you need a second card of helo infantry? It's up to you. I mean, it's personal preference. You can do what you want, really. And then, yeah, recon helos. So pretty kitted out on the recon. AA, Roland 3 for anti-plane seed thing, Roland 2 upvetted by 1 for like more planes and helicopters and stuff. That's fair enough, it's very common. I think I run mine without the Roland 2 and then I just get air bullied because I'm bad. So, yeah. And then Minstrel's in the P4, so I'd be bringing the Minstrel in the VAB T20. It makes it a lot more expensive, but then you've got a Spag, which you don't actually have, right? So it's nice to have some Spag. The alternative is you find a way to fit this in, because it's 35 points, right, whereas this is 40. They've got the same gun, it's just the one on the right has smoke and armor and is faster and has a machine gun, but it doesn't have, optics. But yeah, it's faster on the road and so on. I'd be getting the VAB-T 2013 personally, but it does make it kind of hard to buy your manpads if they're 100 points each. Helo tabs, so Gazelle can get this at 2 vet. It's so much better at 2 vet. It's something. It's like, look at what's happening to the accuracy. Basically, this is the way they report. It's really stupid. This is the chance of it hitting once in the salvo. So it's got a 40% chance of hitting once in 10 rounds. Now it's got a 75% chance of hitting once in 10 rounds. The main advantage is the aim time, and basically you send a couple of these out at the start of the game, and they can just absolutely destroy entire openers. It's hilarious how good they are. There's a game on my channel called I Face My Biggest Fan, or Facing My Biggest Fan, and I open with 3 of these, and I kill like a bunch of Razvedka BMP2s, and I end up with a 13-to-1 KD ratio. So they're very, very good, and I'd definitely be bringing out 2 vet. And then Gazelle Hot 2, this is how you kill enemy armoured breakthroughs and stuff. A bit of a panic button, a defensive tool. And the difference here is you can pay 10 points less to get 2 more, which means you can be a bit more frivolous with them. But they've got 2 less pen, which means they wouldn't one-shot an AMX 30. And they've got less accuracy. So I vastly prefer the one that is more likely to hurt people. Seriously, in a serious way. Then, planes. So this had its veterancy thing, so now you can get 3, right? And he's upvetted it to get 2. That's fair enough. Basically, you just chuck these at helicopters to kill them. I don't think it's worth upvetting it. I'd be bringing it at 1 vet, so that you can kill 1 more helicopter. Because, basically, the advantage of upvetting it, right, is your accuracy goes up by a tiny amount. Your stress recovery goes up, which means that you're less likely to, and your stress resistance means that you're less likely to rout, but you've only got 3 missiles anyway, so you don't really want to be hanging about. And, you gain 8% evasive maneuvers, which is like a better version of ECM, because ECM is multiplicative, whereas evasive maneuvers is subtractive. So the enemy cub will have, 45 minus 8. It's 37, quick maths, ECM, because of the evasive maneuvers. But, I'm just an unlucky person, so I don't care about that. If you're a gambling man, maybe, but I just don't think it's worth it. Then this is the plane that you use to hurt people. It's actually not that great, but it is only 200 points. It's mainly the range on this missile is just not very good. The accuracy is just not very good. It's very, very fast, though. Anyway, then you've got the Jaguar HE. Which is very good at hurting people. and the Jaguar 80, which is very good at hurting armor, and then this thing, which I really don't like. The way I build it, so this is like a medium altitude bomber, so they tend to just move out the way. So the way I build it is I get rid of this, and I put this in. So I've got 4 fighters, so I don't get air bullied. Then I don't have this, because I feel like I don't need it. But I think it's a 1-point slot anyway, so it probably doesn't matter. Then I don't have this, and I get the seed plane instead. And you use the seed plane with its high ECM to kill the enemy helicopters, because the guns do the killing. It's not as effective as the other one. I mean, you could do it any way you want, right? It's just something to think about. So if you take a look at my 5e deck, I've got 3 cards of supply, a lot more infantry than you. Same arty tab, more AMX 30B2s, I think 1 more card than you had. And they're all at 1 vet. I don't bring the regular AMX 10 RC, I just bring the Sublinde at no vet, because like you shouldn't really be opening 4 of those anyway, and later on in the game then they're a bit less useful. And then, oh no, I bring the VBL Milan, which I told you not to do because it's a 3rd card. Oh dear. Well, let's fix that right now, because I always run out of recon. So I'm glad we did this deck review today. So I've improved my deck there, because I always run out of recon, and then I complain about it. So now I've got infantry recon, which should help me a bit. And then, yeah, I do actually bring the Rolled 2s. Oh, I'm a bad person. And then Gazelle Hot 2, Gazelle Cannon, and then, yeah, the 2 fighters, the AT, the HE, and the Seed. But yeah, you can do it any way you want. I hope you learned something. Switching to his opponent's deck, we've got YukiPaw playing 11th ACAV, and I'm not very I am very familiar with this deck. I just don't like playing it because I think it's kind of not that good and also very difficult to play. Basically, the way 11th ACAV is played is you open with infantry. Like, you don't run out of infantry. People always say you don't have enough infantry. Don't worry about that. And then basically you want to get your IHawks set up, your Stingers set up, and then buy all your Abrams and just slowly kill people to death with your Abrams. So let's go through this tab by tab. So we've got 3 cards of supply, which makes a lot of sense when you've got Arty and all these tanks that constantly need repairing because they're constantly taking hits, so that's all very sensible. In terms of the supply options, we got 2 helo supplies and a truck supply. I don't like that at all. I think you need max 1 helo supply, and I'd say this is the better one because it's 2,000 supply for 65 points, whereas this is 2,000 supply for 90 points. And then I'd be bringing 2 trucks. But yeah, that's just me. And then between these CVs, for 5 points more, you lose speed, but you get 2 more HP. So it doesn't really matter, to tell you the truth. You could get this, but it's only 2 availability. And then you would have 6 CVs instead of 7, and this is nice and cheap. The thing is, it's the same argument we made before. These are tracked, so you need a wheeled CV, really, so you don't fall too far behind at the start. So really, it's between these 2. And yeah, Bradley CV. I mean, if you've got a CV on the front lines firing toes at people, then you know you're a risky individual. I mean, I guess these do have to be on the front lines, but they've got 19 armor or whatever, 18, whereas this has 5. So, infantry tab. So bringing an ATGM infantry is actually quite strange, given the division. Because you don't get that much infantry, except you get 5 plus 3, so you actually get 8, so it's fine. So yeah, Milan 2, fair enough, whatever. Then engineers for satchels, right, in the Humvee at 1 vet, yes, very normal. Heimat Jaeger, so these guys have the reservist trait, which makes them kind of garbage. The stat card doesn't reflect what it's doing to you, but basically, it's rough. These are just, you get them because they're cheap and there's loads of them. You get 12 and they just soak. You just send them out in front of your tanks to get shot so you can see targets. Panzer Grenadiers in the Marder 1A3 Milan. So basically he wants as many IFVs as possible, so he's brought it at no vet. It's a similar situation to 119Ys, like Razved could be MP2 or BMP1Ps. So I get bringing it at no vet. It does make them less useful in the fighting, but it is what it is. And then mech rifles dragon at 1 vet because presumably these have been brought for their fighting. And you can pay 5 points more for a dragon 1, which... yeah, you're usually not in range to use this. I mean, look, the M240, the flipping 50 cal goes further than... Anyway, shout out to this unit. 6 men with an AT4 and 3 machine guns. The only issue is they've just not really got the HP, and there's just not enough slots here. Like 3 machine guns is like 6 rifles, so they've actually only shoot with the strength of 9 men. And the AT4 is actually not that great, so it's the best you've got in this div. But actually, it isn't, because since they changed the Dragon 2, it now shoots in forests, and it's got more pen than the AT4. The only reason you think it doesn't is because this is green at 17, and this is yellow at 18, so it's psychology there, but human psychology for you. Anyway, so M109A2s, he's bringing the wrong ones. I don't understand. YukiPaw's a much better player than me, so I don't understand why he's decided to, for the sake of 5 points, to bring a far inferior howitzer, because it's inferior because it's got less range, which means that at the same range, you have the one on the left would have a much tighter dispersion circle, because that's how that works. So you want the one with more range. And then between the mortars, right, the mortars presumably are for smoking. The one on the left has more range and has higher fire rate, but the smoke rounds themselves will be smaller. But having more range and more fire rate for slightly smaller smoke rounds, I think, is a good trade-off. And it's got more armor. I'm not sure if an artillery round that lands in front of you is classed as front armor or just always top armor. But yeah, it being cheaper and better at smoking means that I would like to bring this one. Tank tab, so Jaguar 2. It's very, very good because it's sort of like the AMX-10 Hot on the other side, except better because it's got more pen, I think 1 more pen, and it's got more armor. So yeah, generally you survive things. A Conkers can one-shot this. I was playing today and I kept losing them to Conkers, so that's something I learned. And then yeah, M1A1 spam, basically well, obviously the HA Abrams is better, the TAUD is better, but this is like, I would class those as super heavy tanks, whereas this is basically the best heavy tank for the gun. It's not 21 AP, it's 20, so it can't one-shot a 3 armor vehicle at max range. It gets, every 175 meters, it gets more pen. Anyway, it's fast, it's very capable, it's... In tank duels, this is basically the best one, apart from, the TAUD and so on. But it's very good in tank duels, it's not got those ATGMs, right? 18 armor means it can survive 1 hit from a 30 AP missile, which is every AT plane in the game, such as this one. They tend to shoot 2, though, which is kind of the issue. Anyway, it's a big difference, though, because if they shoot 2 with a 50% accuracy, which is what they usually are, the chance of it hitting... Right, so basically if you've got above 17 armor, or 16 armor and ERA, the chance of you surviving goes from 25% to 75% because of the statistics. So if they shoot 2, either they can hit twice, in which case you die, 25% chance, or they can hit 1, miss 1, which has a 50% chance of happening, in which case you'd survive, or they'd miss both, in which case you'd survive. So if you can tank 1 hit, your survivability goes from 25% they both miss to 75% either they both miss or 1 hit. So it's really worth thinking about. Fortitude Fence really likes the CEV. I think it's kind of garbage, but on this div you basically have to bring it because how else are you supposed to kill infantry? Bringing it at 1 vet, it doesn't even have smoke. It's been brought at 1 vet so that it doesn't just immediately die after being hit by something. We'll see. I don't really like them, but maybe you don't have a choice here. And then, yeah, 2 tank CVs. Recon tab, so this is your Recon M1A1, which is a very powerful tool, and he's actually brought it at 2 vet, which is... I mean, it's a heavy tank, so being at 2 vet, right, as we spoke about, more stress resistance, you're in the fight for longer, and because it's got the It's not even twice as much. Wow. Because it's got and the regen isn't even twice. Because it's got the high armor, it can actually stay in the fight. So maybe it makes sense. But like, I'd much rather be paying 15 points more for a second one of these than I would be, to save 15 points and get this. Because the difference of the ACAB one is that it's got better optics, which actually makes it a lot easier to use. So I wouldn't be too vetting it, but like I said, I don't play this div and he's a better player than me. This has 5 armor, which means it survives 18 AP, which is a Dragon 2. So that's the advantage of this over this. And he's brought both, so he could get lots of Bradleys, lots of recon. So maybe he doesn't need that many recons here. But I really would not be bringing this to 2-vet. If you can keep it alive, sure. Mine always dies, and it's like you probably won't be buying 2 at this. Because the other advantage is it starts further forwards, which makes your deployment quite strong. It's just you won't be buying 2 at the start anyway, because that's literally over a third of your starting points just on tanks, and it's sort of, I mean, people do it and people win, but it's kind of usually not such a great idea to open heavy tanks to begin with anyway, because you can't cover as much ground, and the enemy plane comes and kills you because generally you haven't got your AA net set up yet. So yeah, maybe it does make sense to 2-vet it. We'll see. Anyway, LRS, which is like the dragon guys, except they've got laws. And this goes at 100. It's not got a gun. BGS Stricer, they're sort of just very good optics for 20 points. What's not to like? And Scouts in the grenade launcher Humvee. So grenade launcher is good for anti-infantry. And the Scouts are just because you need more infantry because you don't get that much in this div. And then a recon helo. So lots of recon, but that's how 11th ACAV is played. This is good at the start for spotting things. This Kiowa is actually really funny for at the start. You just chuck a bunch of Hellfires down a road. And basically, you need to make sure there's no forward deployed enemy AA. And you need to make sure there's no plane coming to kill you. But you can really mess up enemy deployments by chucking 4 Hellfires at them. It's very funny if you can get it to work. And then this is basically like the Scout, except it can survive a hit from any manpad, and it's faster, and it's got the jammer trait, and it's got ECM, so I vastly prefer it to the Scout. I mean, it costs more, but I vastly prefer it to the Scout, because this is basically like an early game thing. The so-called meta, I see a lot of people doing this. They just buy 3, and then they just chuck one down every road, and they're like, oh, I know your whole deployment, and then they all die, and they lose, 135 points, quick maths, for information that they don't use anyway, right? If you're like a top-level player, which is who everybody's copying this off, then you can use that information to change which direction you actually deploy your units and stuff, but people don't do it. They just send out the scouts, so they don't understand why it's being done, and they all die. So yeah, I prefer the quick fix, because I know that my sort of micro and so on isn't good enough to rapidly change my entire deployment in 15 seconds at the start of the game and get any sort of value out of that. And I have 2,500 hours in this game, so, maybe you're better than me. iHawk, very good at making sure your tanks don't die. Stinger, great at moving further forwards and making sure your tanks don't die. And shooting helicopters. And then the pivads you get for anti-infantry. So this is back to like the CEV argument, which is like, well, what's the point in the CEV when I've got the pivads? Kind of does the same thing. The CEV, really, though, if it hits an enemy infantry, it just completely takes it out of the fight. So it is actually pretty good. And then Sea Knights, which are specific to this division. They're basically a tow cobra with a tow 2. And they've got double the Hydras because look, it's a bigger thing. So they've got more Hydras, they've got tow 2s, pretty decent helicopter, 2 per card, so you might as well bring that over the other 2. Because yeah, the regular Hog's got twice as many rockets, but no tow 2. And the tow Cobra's got worse rockets and half the dumbfire rockets, less than half the dumbfire rockets. Air tab, so when you see 11th ACAV players, typically this is full, and they spend the whole... I just know what Fortitude Fence does. We played together in a tournament recently, he showed me his deck, and it was just like all air, basically. That's how he likes to play. And so Yeah, so like this is for hurting helicopters. This is a helicopter hunter, basically the best in the game. It's actually just one of the best fighters in the game because these are so ridiculous and planes don't turn very well. So if you can close the gap straight away and just rattle all these off, you're gonna kill people pretty fast. I don't think it's the best fighter, but it's a very good fighter. Then the one on the left is actually cheaper but longer range because of what we were talking about, um, and uh, and I think that's sensible. A10 rocket for like openers, I guess. So it's buy this at the start, buy this, and shoot the enemy deployment coming down the road, I guess. And then the AT for late game AT. But generally, people absolutely kit this out. So they bring like not the Milan 2 here, which would save you 3 points, and then they might get rid of like a CV here, which would save you 2 points. Which would be so that one, right? And then they would bring the seed and the LGBT, or the seed and the A10. This has a 6 minute reload, so it's not great. This is actually very good because it's got a 60-second reload, and this sometimes will kill the enemy heavy tank. Usually it doesn't, but and yeah, this is sort of depreciated now. It's not as good as it used to be because it's only one per card, and it's got like a 2 minute reload, and it doesn't one-shot heavy tanks anymore. So it's sort of got that classic triple nerf. Anyways, that's it for the deck review. Now let's get to the deployments and then the game. Right, so with that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the map and the matchup. 11th ACAV is sort of a favourite among, I almost said among some people, and I personally don't like it. Basically, you get M1A1s, right, and you really need to keep them alive, and you can use those M1A1s to overwhelm the enemy and eventually win. On a map like this, 11th ACAV, not such a great idea because you can't really afford to play a wide game with 11th ACAV. Quite the opposite is 5e. 5e loves its mobility, so the bigger the map, the more fun 5e is having. Mainly because its tanks are really fast, right? This is a great example. This is the perfect example. It is a wheeled quote-unquote tank, and the advantage is its speed and its mobility. Although it is actually slower off-road than the tracked, not this one, the other one. Anyway, so 5e likes nice wide map, 11th ACAV doesn't. Between the players, I've not played against Gucci Gang Hots. YukiPaw routinely beats me, and he wins a lot of tournaments, or at least he used to. I don't know if he participates that much anymore. And yeah, if you want to see more YukiPaw, I'll link it in the description. I played a 2v2 against him recently. 11th ACAV was in that game, but he was playing. He was not playing 11th ACAV. So yeah, for the map and the matchup, I think 5e has the advantage here. This map is a little one-sided, not as bad as something like Vertigo, in my opinion. I think is a much more one-sided map. But this map basically, this zone is massive and this zone is tiny, and Blue's forward deployment gets to about here when Red's gets to here, something like that. Blue might get the first building. It depends on they've got to have equivalent speeds, right? And we don't actually have that here because this isn't a helicopter anyway. And this is wheeled, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, this zone is harder to defend than this zone. As for the middle, the blue side has a little bit more cover, and the red side has a little bit less cover. Also, the red side's quite open to flanking attacks from this way, whereas the blue side isn't so open to flanking attacks from this way because blue tends to retain this, which kind of stops that. But yeah, you can definitely still flank down here. It's just this big openness actually yeah, is actually quite good at cutting the blue reinforcement line. So yeah, this isn't so bad. This is basically the problem. Anyway, let's have a look at the deployments. So we've got YukiPaw on 11th ACAV, and he's got LRS going to Charlie, backed up by the M1A1 ACAV. So you'll know from the deck review, which you definitely didn't skip, that he brought this at 2-vet, so he's actually only got one. So he needs to keep that safe, and he's got a bit of AA for it, so a supply for it, Heimat Jaeger, just basically just like a meat shield squad because of the reservist trait. It's just not incredible rocket launcher, but it's alright. 16 pen is enough to one-shot 2 armor vehicle. which is, you know, say the rear armor on this, or the side armor on a regular AMX-10 RC, right? And yeah, the other one's going to here, and then he's got two pivads for mid to protect his M1A1 ACAV. But yeah, no long range AA. So I do wonder if he'll open fighter. I don't think he's got the points for it. Looking at this, I might be wrong. And yeah, then he's got a CV for Foxtrot Golf, no CV for Echo Charlie, so he will be behind at the start because he's only got one CV, depending on what his opponent's done. LRS going to this church. Bradley CFV going to Golf. I like putting it here. If you're going to spawn it on this road, it should be going to here, really. Otherwise, wouldn't it be better to spawn it on this road? Actually, it probably doesn't make... It's probably fastest to go this way, actually. Interesting. But it doesn't really matter. Having one on this side's good as well, because this is another place that blue can quite easily fit a CV. And then behind that, we've got another Heimatjäger, two Stingers, Engineers, two at one vet, and Mech Rifles Dragon. So this is sort of the disadvantage with playing on the red side, that you have to defend this because the enemy might rush it at the start, and that makes your push in mid quite weak. Switching to his opponent's deployment, the enemy is actually going for Golf, so it's a good job he's defending it. Go left to right, so we've got Eclairs and the Alouette. We'll see how fast they get there. So the bigger the map, the better the helicopter is, because it is faster than the car, and it goes, you know, the flight of the crow or whatever, as the crow flies, you know, it goes in a straight line, right? This has to go around the buildings and stuff. So, but it starts on the ground. Obviously here I paused it a little bit after, but it starts on the ground at the start, and it doesn't start as far forwards as the LRS, and it has to land, which takes ages. So we'll see who gets there first. Then we've got two AMX-10 RCs securing the reinforcement road, which is a very good idea. You want to secure... Basically, if you're red and you're fighting for Golf, and your enemy has better infantry than you, and even if he doesn't, you want to cut the reinforcements. You want to make it so he can't just constantly reinforce it, otherwise you're going to be just slogging it out. And 5e definitely does have better infantry than 11th ACAV, but he only brought 4 cards of infantry. And he brought his chasseurs at 2 vet. So he's actually not got that much infantry. So if this drags on late, the 11th ACAV player, despite his deck not having the ability to bring as much infantry as 5e. In this situation, the 11th ACAV player actually has more infantry than the 5e player, which is an interesting idea. I mean, it goes to the deck building, right? One Gazelle cannon can be absolutely instrumental in killing enemy stuff as it comes down roads and stuff at the start. I like bringing them at 2 vet, as we spoke about in the deck review. A recon helo, which I think is a bit superfluous when you've got these 2 recon and this recon. But whatever, you can always move it over here afterwards or something. He's got another one there. But yeah, I think this is a bit superfluous when you've got all that recon. Although you could argue that this could spot the LRS before your guy gets there or whatever and change path, because it will get there before the Sublindes. And then, yeah, 1 chasseurs, an EBG, which I really don't like. We spoke about this in the deck review. We'll see how it performs. It's just, it's got no range, and the HE is good, but it's got no range. The autocannons, I think, have a bigger DPS, because of the... I mean, the reload time is actually not so bad. Anyway, AMX-30B, so anti-infantry tank, more or less, and 2 Roland 2s, and 1 CV for Delta Golf. So you don't actually have to do the kink here, because this is so long that just coming down here, you will cap it by the time you get to the end of it, so you don't actually have to do this. But maybe he just wants to slow it down so he doesn't have to think about it, so he doesn't run in and die before he secures this, so he's just slowing it down that way. Anyway, Dragon Paras, so these guys do have airborne forward deployment, so this would be the match for the LRS coming the other way. You see between them, the Dragon Paras are cheaper, but they get smoke, which is nice, but they don't get AT, and yeah, they're both 6-man special force squads, shock airborne squads. And that's going to here. So that's another small advantage you get in Charlie, is that these buildings are actually pretty cool, and blue gets those at the start. They're not amazing. Ever since the recon changed, they're not amazing, because a recon here can actually see that guy before he shoots you, whereas it didn't actually used to be that way. So they're not as powerful as they used to be, but it's still a nice advantage to have. VBL Milan, So optics, stealth, ATGM, a P4PC for Charlie. So I would have pathed this into, because what's he going to do about Alpha, right? So I would have pathed this Alpha, back, Bravo, Charlie. So Alpha, back, Bravo, Charlie. Or you can just go Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. The only issue is you're coming down here, so unless you've got somebody here... Oh, yeah, you will have somebody there, so it's fine. Yeah, so you just go Alpha, Bravo, Charlie. Because otherwise you got to buy a separate CV for Alpha, because this is going to be there and it's going to sit there, and you can't really take it back out of the zone because the enemy will put his own CV in there. And then, yeah, AMX-30B, Sublinde, Recon Helo, and another Gazelle cannon. So quite light on the defense of Alpha, which you'd expect, really, because there shouldn't really be a big 11th ACAV rush going on there. But hey, you can play the game how you want. So let's cast the game, and we'll cover it from this perspective. Right, so they're off, and it's time to thank the generous channel joiners, generously joining the channel. They get the names on the screen, they get the videos early, they get members-exclusive videos. I'm a unemployed brokey. Please join us at channel joiner. If you don't want to do that, please like the video, because it makes YouTube recommend it to more people and it's free. I don't know what to say. Like 2,000 people watch the video, like more or less. I mean, it depends on the video. It might be less, it might be more. There's an average of about 2,000 per video, which I'm very thankful for. But it only gets 100 likes, and so that means that 1,900 people tune in to watch me every day, and they hear me say, please like the video, and they make a conscious decision to not like the video. How do I change your mind? Come on, bro, it's free. You're watching it right now. You're already logged in. I know you are. You just scroll down a little bit and press the like button. What's the big idea? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so the Scout, the miniguns got nerfed, so they're not so great anymore. This is the best helicopter gun in the game, for whatever reason, and that is massive overkill. Oh man, the Gazelle cannon would have done that by itself, but yeah, that's massive. He only needed one. These are the cheaper ones. He upvetted it, so he's actually only got two. But yeah, that's going to kill the momentum of this push now. He didn't actually need any. He's got the rolling twos for like long-term air defense, right? This is dead now. He's lacking infantry in this push. Oh man, Gucci Gang hots. And this could have been an AMX-30B2, right, for 5 points more, or it could have just been more infantry. We spoke about how he doesn't have sappers in the deck, but yeah, in general, Blue's got a preferable position in mid. He will get the CV in here, it seems, but Red actually has enough here to just push him out straight up. He's just not attacking, so he doesn't know how much Blue has here. This should have been put on return fire, although this would have seen it anyway. The issue is it's not going to win against all that. Right, so here we go, Engineers coming forwards now, and Blue's really going to struggle to hold this zone, because he's only got 2 infantry, and one of them's a 4-man squad, and one of them's an 8-man squad, very respectable. And so yeah, I disagree with the Mirage purchases, and so YukiPaw now is going to, basically this one isn't on the road like this one is. What you could argue is Delta's easier to attack than Echo. And there goes the EBG. We didn't even get to see its combat effectiveness, just died immediately. Some siege engine, 850 meters range, really not fantastic. And YukiPaw, he can't deal with these. But I would have gone for, because you've got the AMX-10 RCs for shooting down the sides and being the tanks. I would have gone for, instead of this, an extra chasseurs, because look, the AMX-10P is also anti-infantry, it is an IFV. And yeah, so now you need to start using the LOS tool. So okay, there's a gap there, you send this over there to shoot. Okay, there's a gap there, you send this over there to shoot. Because otherwise the chasseurs are going to lose this fight because it's a 4v1. But YukiPaw getting caught out in the open here, not using the LOS tool. Well, maybe he did and it told him he'd be fine. It is an approximation on these tight corners. I do like this from YukiPaw, but it is dead now, and I don't think he's paying attention. Yeah, as you can see, Gazelle Cannon, very, very, very effective. There's a reason these stingers are here. And Yuki getting caught out here, there's no reason for this to be happening. And he's managed to get in the middle. Gucci Gang bought the 3rd CV. And like I said, so that is just killing his momentum in here. So he got the 2 fighters, which he did, I mean... One fighter makes sense, but you've got 2 rolling twos. Like 1 fighter and 2 rolling twos, that's fine. and then the second one should have been more infantry. So group anti-char, not so useful in this town because nobody's going to be running an M1A1 into the town. Okay. And yeah, it should be like chasseur spam, sappers spam, which we know he's not got in the division. Group anti-char is a pretty gnarly unit. It's got 2 of the best RPG in the game. And especially on a map like this, these used to have 850 range, which tells you a lot about the EBG. Which realistically just needs to become cheaper if they want people to use it. Anyway, so Gucci Gang using this to great effect, actually. Like, YukiPaw can't really push these out because whenever he shows up, he gets smacked. And he's not really reacting very quickly, so somehow we've gone from a 4v1 to a 1v1. And this is routed, so Gucci Gang winning that engagement, mainly because YukiPaw just kept overextending. So buying artillery, I don't think was a good idea in this case. Like, a mortar can make sense because you can just park a mortar here for 80 points and just pepper this, and he will have to move. I guess he just wants to kill it, and it looks like he's going to get it. Oh, okay. Warno artillery moment there. And the game tells you this is 100 meters when it's not. All distances in Warno are multiplied by like 2.83 or something, which is why, you know, like this house is allegedly 100 meters long. And you see the same with like football fields and stuff like that. Anyway, this could have been an M1A1. Well, okay, you know. And then it could have been an iHawk, which would be a better idea, because the M1A1 needs cover from the air for it to be useful, and it needs recon and so on, and that race car should be dead now. No, just to... What? Okay, just having some recon issues there. Oh, there it goes. And this now needs repairing. But, yeah, I like this from Gucci Gang. I think it's quite smart. It looks like he's going to get the artillery. YukiPaw should know about this now. I mean... he's just lost an item, and the scout sees it. So this should be... Okay, he's updated his software. He's bringing in a Sea Knight to kill it. And, yeah, YukiPaw, he should have got an iHawk up to protect this. And, yeah, he can just canvas down here. He's better in the open, no doubt about it, with the M1A1s. And, yeah, that could have been a second M1A1 instead of the artillery piece. He's got up to here, which is smart. Right, you can, instead of coming down here, where you can be shot from this way, you can come down here, although you can be shot from this way, right? Or you could do both, but I wouldn't recommend that, because you need to be under your air cover, because the best way for Red to kill an M1A1, and like I said, I don't watch these games beforehand, the best way to kill an M1A1 would be to use a plane. So the Sublinde's kind of been caught out here. You can help this by putting a... you know, VAB T20 with it or something. But this is delaying YukiPaw's reinforcements, which is a problem for, you know, for YukiPaw. And this only has a medium machine gun on it. If it was a HMG, it, in certain circumstances, would actually kill the Sea Knight. If it came over it in the forest, it wouldn't be able to fire its toes and so on. Okay, so Mirage diving, this is the third jet. And, yeah, this is why you need that iHawk. This is why you need that iHawk, because... you know, that could have just as easily been a Jaguar coming in for the kill. Having this here is kind of not great, but at this point, if he moves it over here, it might die. He should be able to do it, but yeah, you can hide it here. Although this is here, so yeah, what can you do, eh? You can also hide it in the town, like here, and they wouldn't really be able to see it as long as you've got guys up here. This, when you put things in the church, you can put it on return fire. Religious people can see further than atheists, by the way. That's why we go in the churches. So you can see further. Vav Milan getting the miss there. It is the same weapon. This has 10% more accuracy on account of its veterancy. 1 vet, and then the CV gives it an extra rank of veterancy. And 1 + 1 is 2. Quick maths. Having the group anti-charge just sort of canvassing down here is very smart. And this is why you don't want them shooting. So, the M109... I mean, it can make sense, but I think in this case a mortar would have been better, because you can just mortar these positions, and this hasn't paid for itself, right? That was its first kill in like 4 minutes, whereas if it had been... Okay, so here come the double iHawks, and yeah, Yuki, he's at a disadvantage, but, you know, what he could have done is pushed here simultaneously, because he actually does have way more here, right? Especially with this M1A1A cav, which is an incredibly powerful unit, particularly at the start of the game. He could literally run this down here, and he would see this when it fires, and he would kill it. And this doesn't have AT. This does, right? So you do need a guy down each side to make sure you don't get Appalast, which he has. And he could have cleaned this out. He could have easily cleaned this out with the tools he has there, dependent on micro. Group anti-char gets Armada 1A3 Milan, presumably with its infantry inside it, because I... No, this is the infantry. And the Stinger there. Yuki just not paying attention. And, yeah, so now Gucci Gang canvassing down here. Mech Rifles Dragon does take this out, and... Yeah, YukiPaw surrenders. I guess he figured he just couldn't sort it out. Oh, it actually says he's been disconnected. Interesting. But yeah, it was definitely going Blue's way there. It is possible that over time Red could have pushed him out. But yeah, it was an interesting game. So Gucci Gang Haunts rank 88 and YukiPaw rank 15. So two very, very high ranked players. And Blue was definitely in the process of winning that. Could he have hung on? I mean, I think so. But yeah, what can I say? I don't think this artillery was a good idea. I think that it should have been more ground units and one mortar. Like a mortar can, like mortars aren't incredible for hurting people, but it's mainly area denial, right? So this is a sniper. It's meant for sniping the CV. Okay, well he'll just buy another one. 80 points, 210 points. You've got to do that 3 times for this to pay for itself. It should have been... but it does stop the tick. If it was a mortar, you still get that area denial effect, right? You could just mortar that forest constantly, and they have to move, or you will eventually kill them. But mainly, I think it should have just been more ground units. So yeah, an interesting game. Do let me know what you think. A bit of a short one today. And I'll see you around. GG.